Let's talk about manipulatives and the math center. So, we know that math in preschool, in early childhood, is not division, subtraction, writing numbers down on a page with plus signs and equal signs and that kind of thing. Math is much more hands on and it is much more integrated into other areas of the day. So you don't set aside math time for preschoolers. Um, what we're going to do here, we're going to learn how works in preschool, understand attitudes about math, um, our own attitudes about math. For a lot of people, math is a really hard, difficult subject. It's conceptual, it's not real world when you get to a certain level, but in preschool, we want it to be very real world. And then how to set up math manipulative center and how to provide a math rich environment, math concepts for preschool, math activities for physical development, for cognitive development, for language development, social development, creative development, and what is your role? And then how to observe math stuff with kids and how to interact with them and how to introduce a new activity. So a lot of math stuff. So what we want to do is really focus on how children can grasp the concepts of math in a very concrete, tactile, real world way. So before you can get to the abstractness of math, which is the numbers that represent things and how they all fit together, you need to have experiences doing math in a very concrete way. So collections of objects, having those counters. You can get those. I don't think I have any here to show you, but jars of counters, like there's little plastic bears or dinosaurs or whatever. They're broken up by different colors and different types. That's math. That's math in a jar. And so sorting is math, counting is math, sequencing is math. All of these things that kids can do are math, but they don't know it. Kids should feel free to explore math. Kids should have fun with numbers. So counting things should be fun. They can learn math through play. That is how they learn math, right? Through play. It's not by sitting them down and giving them a worksheet. And it needs to be manipulative. They need to touch the stuff in order for their brains to get what's going on. When you're setting up your math center, have a space that's large enough for several kids, include a variety of math materials and manipulatives. Calculators, you can get cheap calculators like at the dollar store, cash registers, counting pieces, play money is really fun in your math center. Manipulatives, like we talked about, all kinds of things. You're going to do the same things in your math center that you should be doing in all of your centers, right? Having floor space and table space, having things illustrated and labeled, right? Have math number charts out there. We just did on our wall, instead of, buying a number chart, sticking adhesive numbers and then little sticker dots, the amount on the wall or painted on the wall. A bulletin board or wall space to display children's math activities. This would be another great place to have a bulletin board or a magnet board with letters or numbers and different items that they can move around. A math-rich environment means that you're having math activities throughout your day in all of your different topics, and you're doing it in a way that is interesting and engaging for kids. So it's not, we just read the book, Caps for Sale, Caps for Sale. I don't know if I can find it quickly, but it's a great book for doing math activities. Yes, I'm still here. I'm just looking at my bookshelf. Well, I'll find a different one that we could do. One fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish. This is obviously a book that someone has written all over, but it's a book. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's a library activity then, right? So we're going to do it as a math activity. So we're just going to count what we see, right? One fish, one, two fish. Here's a red fish. Here's a blue fish. And then a black fish, a blue fish. And then let's just count all the fish we see on these pages. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 10 fish, right? So this is a book that becomes a math activity. And then maybe you want to cut out fish and make your own book that has 10 fish, right? There's all kinds of ways to do this stuff. When we talk about math concepts in preschool, we talk about classification, ordering, patterning, numbering, and you'll see in the videos in the discussion how this all works together, I think. Classification is identifying things by a color, shape, size, whatever, and then moving them appropriately. So I have a big fish. I have a small fish. That's classification right there. I have a red fish. I have a blue fish. That's classification right there. So having them, line up all your shoes, right? And talk about the different colors and classify by size. Who has the biggest shoes? Who has the smallest shoes? Ordering is putting things in a specific order, right? From biggest to smallest, or from smallest to biggest, or whatever. Patterning is when you go red, blue, red, blue, red, blue, right? Or you do red, blue, green, red, blue, green. And you increase the difference and the distinctions of the patterns as children develop their skills, right? Finding patterns in classrooms or in picture books. A lot of books have pattern language, and you can talk about that. And that is math, right? Even though it's not numbers, it's math. It's using the conceptual skills that you need to do math in a way that is appealing to children. Using familiar objects for counting, counting. One math activity that you can do every day in your classroom is when you're doing snack, count how many kids are in the classroom, and then count how many cups you need to put out for snack. Or when you're distributing snack to kids, maybe you're having graham crackers today and everybody gets 3 graham crackers. So you get to count along while you hand out the graham crackers. Snack time is a great time to talk about math. Paper punches are fun because you get all kinds of little things, and this is all for math physical development, especially those fun paper punches, the ones that you go like this. Kids get some physical development, and then you have all these little pieces that they can, play with and count and move around and sequence and pattern with. Okay. There you go. That's some math activities for physical development. Knobbed materials, manipulatives, like using manipulatives. This is using your pincer grasp and your small motor skills. Cognitive development, personal numbers, right? Give a kid a number. Now, what's interesting is when you have 2 and 3-year-olds on the younger end, you will, once they figure out how old they are, and you try to count them, line them up, and you're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I guarantee that at some point you'll have a line of kids where you go 1, 2, 3, 4. No, I'm 3, because they don't get that you're counting them. They know that they are 3 years old, right? So 1, 2, 3. No, I'm 3. And then we're all 3. So then you talk about, you have one person, and these, when you stand together, there's 2 people, and then there's 3 people, right? And then try to teach them about their ages. That's a concept that they won't get. They know the number of their age, but they don't understand how it corresponds to their trips around the sun or years. Time as a concept in preschool is not something that children understand. So we'll talk about that in a minute. Match numbers with shape outlines. So when you post numbers around your classroom, you want to make sure you have the numeral and also have the number of items that numeral corresponds to. Some kids will get the numeral and understand that. Some kids will have to see the numeral 2 and 2 dots to understand that it's 2. Counting games, play number counting games, object counting. Can we count all the pencils? Can we count all the crayons? Using math as a cleaning activity is really great. Count the blocks as you put them back in the box. Or let's put all the red blocks back first, and then we'll put all the blue blocks back. That's math right there, right? Counting books. Keep counting books in your math area. Use simple words for math concepts. So we're not going to talk about multiplication and division and addition and subtraction. We're going to talk about putting together or taking apart or taking away. Okay, large number words, you want to use 17 and 246, and just to give them experience with those things. Social development, pair kids together, right? I talked about that. Let children dump out and sort shoes into pairs. Talk about caring and cooperation. Give people chances to work together. Creative development. There are a lot of ways that you can do math and creativity. Looking around your classroom, weigh dolls, measure how tall, count your doll clothes, have a stopwatch for little car races, line up all your cars, right? All kinds of things. So what you want to do is you want to key into what they're thinking and talking about, and then think about how that relates to math skills, right? So you will see and experience children organically doing math stuff. They don't know it's math stuff and it doesn't look like math stuff, but you will see it happening. And those are opportunities for you to engage and increase, to scaffold that thinking. So like when you have some kids who are throwing, I've talked about this before, I think, throwing a ball in a bucket, right? Or a rolled up ball of socks or whatever into a bucket. Teach them how to do hashtags. Oh, you got it in that time. I make a mark on my page. Oh, you got it in. I make a mark on my page. Oh, you didn't get it in that time, so I don't make a mark. And then when I get to 5, I make a cross across it to do the 5th one. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, cross. 1, 2, 3, 4, cross. And then I can count by 5s. 4-year-olds can totally do that. Using the child interaction form or whatever form you're using to observe, make sure you're observing their math stuff. We don't think about math starting early, and we should, because math is so important and we need that basis as we go through school. The more you know, the earlier you know, the better you'll be off when you get a little bit older. Interacting with children in the math and science or the math area. Sit beside and ask questions, comment on what they're doing, scaffold what they're doing. Hey, what if we did this, right? Same way you're going to interact in any center, just making sure that you are helping them understand what they're doing. Introducing a new activity. So this is your book talks about using measuring and reading a book about measuring and having children measure around the room. Measuring is important, and it's in the Illinois Early Learning Development Standards, using tools for measurement. So think about that. And then I cannot stress this enough, but music and math are very related. Patterning, rhythm, all has math concepts in it. So singing songs, and especially singing songs about numbers, about counting. I would recommend the They Might Be Giants CD about counting. Here Come the 1, 2, 3s. Fantastic songs about counting. Okay, so that's math.